What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to take a little bit of a look at a new Digimon, a puppet Digimon, a Puppetmon, if you will. Our translation here comes, surprise, surprise, from the lovely Jason Snowjacks, and if we start off having a look at the basics, the cost seems about right. 11 cost to play normally is about what we expect for a level 6. Free cost to evolve normally is what the vast majority of level 6s have. 10,000 power is low though. Now it's not embarrassingly low, it's not as low as we've ever seen. Seraphimon often comes around with 10,000 power, in that we've seen two of them and they both had 10,000 power, and both of them were pretty good. It is a green level 6, and to be fair, all the green level 6s other than Hercules Kabuterimon had over 10,000 power, so it's not like we're without precedent here. It's fine, it's on the lower end, don't get me wrong, right? It's very much on the lower end, but it's not completely out of the ordinary. So it's slightly weak, it's about the right cost. What does it do? Lots of good stuff. When you play it, and it is play not evolve, which means you have to pay the 11 cost to play it normally, not the free cost to evolve, you put one of your opponent's Digimon to rest. It's alright. And all of your opponent's Digimon cannot be put to active mode during your opponent's next active phase. Oh. Yeah, you see, ladies and gentlemen, that makes a rather gigantic, phenomenal difference. It basically turns your opponent's Digimon off for a turn. It basically gives you an entire turn where you know your opponent isn't going to be attacking. There are two reasons why a Digimon wouldn't be able to attack. The turn they're played, they are not able to attack, what is often referred to as summoning sickness in other games, and when they're resting. But of course, most of the time, at the beginning of your turn, you've got the active phase, you put all your Digimon to active, and then you roll from there. You can then use them all. Not the turn after you play Puppetmon. After you play Puppetmon, your opponent, firstly, you're putting one to rest, and putting them to rest is, well, let's just say it's going to be awkward for them. But then they can't be made active. And what's really cool here, of course, generally speaking, you put them to rest and then you have to attack them now. You cannot attack an active Digimon, so you put them to rest. And then you attack them, because putting them to rest is kind of irrelevant if you're not about to KO them, because you put them to rest and then it goes to their turn and then they become active at the start of their turn and it's all irrelevant. But here you put them to rest, and then you know they're not going to be made active. So not only are you turning off all of their Digimon that are already at rest, but you're also picking a Digimon and going, now you can't use that one either. Bearing in mind, they might have just played a Digimon, and they play it, it's got summoning sickness, they're not allowed to use it. No, man. But then you put it to rest with Puppetmon, and then the second turn it's down. They're not able to use it either. So that basically means that they play this Digimon, and there are 2 turns where they're just not allowed to do anything with it. That's kind of fantastic. Now, in terms of resting Digimon, the whole putting a Digimon to rest really isn't that great. Don't get me wrong, right? You put it to rest and you can either KO it or then it can't be used next turn. But back in New Evolution, we had Flower Cannon. And Flower Cannon is just a 2-cost option card that puts one of your opponent's Digimon to rest. So there's no real reason to use this. This is an 11-cost Digimon, right? And if you're using it to do what Flower Cannon does for 2 memory, something has gone drastically wrong. The real great thing about this skill is the fact that not only are they going to rest, but all of the Digimon at rest cannot be used next turn because they stay at rest. And sure, your opponent can absolutely avoid this. If your opponent thinks you're about to use Puppetmon, they can absolutely avoid this skill by not attacking with their Digimon and keeping them in active mode. But the whole point of putting them to rest is so they can't be used for a turn. So your opponent can avoid not being able to use them for a turn by not using them for a turn. That is not going to lead to victory, ladies and gentlemen. But it is very expensive, and that really does need to be pointed out. This is an 11-cost Digimon where you get the really good skill if you play it. And we talked about Seraphimon before, but the Seraphimon that lets you recover happens when you evolve. This is one from New Evolution. You evolve and you recover one you've only played free. You are really wrecking your opponent for a turn here. You are basically making them take a turn off. Because either they've attacked, they're resting, they don't get made active, or they've just played them and they can't use them anyway. The exception here is Digimon they played the previous turn, have summoning sickness, are active, you stop them using any of their resting Digimon, but the ones they played last turn, they will then be able to use when they can't make them active. However, you're resting one of their Digimon, you can play stuff like Flower Cannon to rest more, you should be able to literally have an entire turn here where your opponent is not able to use any Digimon. And the way to see how good this is to just have a little bit of a play. Next time you're playing, just look and go, what would happen if I had to take an entire turn off? Or make a note of how many times you lose by a single turn. Oh, I would have won next turn. I would have won if I'd gone first. Oh, I had game in hand, etc. We've all said it many, many times. Well, this is going to stop that happening. Of course, if it still happens after playing Puppetmon, maybe you just weren't supposed to win that game. You can, of course, do this multiple times during a game, but bearing in mind it is a very expensive card, so you have been warned. But I do believe it's worth it, incidentally. This is a very expensive card, but when you're making sure that your opponent cannot use all of their Digimon for a turn, I mean, the only way they get any Digimon is if they've got more Digimon that they played last turn than you have Digimon you can put to rest. If they've got 3 Digimon they played last turn, so they weren't able to use them and put them in rest mode, and you are only able to rest 2 of them on your turn, I don't know, Puppetmon and 1 Flower Cannon, then yes, they will have 1 Digimon that they can use. This is phenomenal. Now, there is another skill there as well, incidentally. When you attack, you gain a memory. And I like this. I really like this. Because what I've basically said about this Digimon so far is it's really, really good, but it's really, really expensive. That's not a good thing. So, what we do here is we gain 1 memory every time we attack. And I don't think you're going to get 11 attacks off with Puppetmon and essentially make this Digimon free. I don't think that's going to happen. But if you attack twice with it, it essentially becomes a 9 cost. If you attack 3 times, it essentially becomes an 8 cost. You start clawing some of that memory back. No, it's not perfect. But here's something I find extremely interesting. This is not limited to once during your turn. Most of the time these things are. So we saw the Patamon back in the starter decks, whereby when your opponent's Digimon is destroyed by having its power lowered to 0, you gain a memory, but it was limited to once during your turn. Most of these skills that give you extra memory are limited for fairly obvious reasons. They don't want you going too nuts. Which means if you can make a Digimon active, you can roll. Might I introduce you to Greymon? Now, when you play Greymon, one of your Digimon becomes active. If you choose to make this dude active, make Puppetmon active, then you can attack again and gain an extra memory. But remember that you can play Greymon for free by attacking with Metalgreymon. Because when you attack with Metalgreymon, you get to deploy a level 3 or 4 Digimon from its evolution sources without paying the cost. Now, I know we're talking a blue-green hybrid deck here, but that's not exactly outside the realms of possibility. And essentially what you end up doing is you attack with this, gain a memory, attack with Metalgreymon, deploy Greymon, make Puppetmon active, attack with it again, gain another memory. If you've got ways, without paying memory, like Greymon, to make Puppetmon active, this becomes really, over-the-top brilliantly good. The first skill is awesome, and I don't think anyone's arguing that it's not. But then it's a very expensive card, and what you essentially get to start doing is clawing some of that memory back. And if you can attack multiple times during your turn, and claw even more memory back, then this becomes a really good Digimon that's really expensive, but actually it doesn't really matter because you're gaining all that memory back. And might I remind you about Dimension Scissor? Now, it's a free cost option card, and one of your Digimon gains, if this Digimon destroys an opponent's Digimon by battle, make it active. Now, you got to pay free memory in order to play it, so it's not free. And it's when you destroy a Digimon, i.e. a resting Digimon, not a security Digimon, so it's not perfect. But if your opponent has plenty of resting Digimon that you want to take down, then essentially you use Dimension Scissor, and then you take them all down with Puppetmon, assuming they're 9,000 or less, so Puppetmon survives, and then you gain an extra memory every time you do so, which basically makes this a really good combo with Dimension Scissor. I don't think Dimension Scissor is going to help you pay for Puppetmon, because you've got to take out free resting Digimon just to pay for Dimension Scissor. But I think if you do want to play Dimension Scissor to start taking out resting Digimon, this becomes a phenomenal partner, because every time you take one out, you get a memory. And that's a very, very good thing. Yeah, I'm a fan of this Digimon. I think it's nuts, but I'd like to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section, would ya? Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and follow me on Twitter at the Wossy, where we talk Digimon and a whole bunch of other games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.